Do you want to know what happens when politicians continue to pervert natural economics? We have a textbook example playing out right in front of our very eyes in the way of Turkey. The Turkish lira has dropped 45% over the year. It is now close to 14 Turkish lira to 1 American US dollar. And inflation, experts are saying it's 21%, but some are saying that's even a low number. So what exactly is going on? Well, Turkish President Erdogan has insisted on keeping interest rates low throughout the year. He thinks that this is what stimulates an economy when rules of economics tell you the exact opposite. So he has fired people who inside the government disagree with him and artificially kept interest rates low inside of Turkey. What happens when the government continues to give itself money and create more money? Inflation. That's exactly what's happening. Now, bread lines are wrapping around the block. Actually, I think block is an American word. They don't really use that
but
in Europe. They're just like wrapping around around the streets. And people are struggling with the money they have that is now able to buy 20% fewer goods than it could earlier in the year. Now, protests against the government raged over the weekend, but the president refuses to take any responsibility for it. So in a national address last week, the president says, it's okay, we got this. We know where we're going.
Which is where?
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. So 21%, 21% inflation. Just imagine what that would look like here in the United States, by the way. Just think about what
well, we're a third of the way there at 6%, 6.8%.
Look at these lines. People just waiting to get, and so now your money has completely collapsed.
Yes.
Like your ability to buy things has completely collapsed.
So if already you were struggling to pay your rent and buy groceries, right? Well, rent payments probably have not changed over the last year unless somebody's moved. So at least that's a fixed cost, but everything else around that is not. Your gasoline, your heating bill, any other utilities, and of course, the biggest one, your grocery bill. Now you can have 20% less food this holiday season.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you continue to try to print more money. You continue to, debase your currency. So what can we learn about this in the United States? Well, it's happening right before our eyes right now in the United States.
Yes. So when the government starts to tell us like, hey, this is normal, it's because of the pandemic, this is just, it's happening, but it's okay. Right. Well, they don't want us to look across the pond and see what happens when it continues to happen. And the government continues to tell us right now, inflation is sort of a natural result of the economy. It's not. It is absolutely the result, in my opinion, of two things: crazy government spending and crazy national debt and crazy low interest rates. Those are things the government has control over and refuses to change because they fear a market correction.
Yeah, look at these lines. Just let's take a look at these lines. Just people waiting for bread in Istanbul. And, it's amazing because Istanbul, or, Turkey was really sort of seen as a bastion of hope, of democracy in an area, a burgeoning democracy, the potential for democracy in this area of the world, where you have all sorts of fighting and problems in other countries very, very close to this area.
Well, it's more a democratic Muslim country.
Right. But think about this, like, you're waiting every day to try to get simple food for you to eat with for your family, and now what you used to pay for a baguette was $1.25 cheaper. Now it's at $2.50. So like
2 lira.
Yeah, you see how quickly this is jumping up in price. A former truck driver and produce wholesaler, this article says, who retired 5 years ago. He moved his children because money is tight. My retirement Social Security only brings in 800 lira a month, which is $56 a month. He says that's not even enough to live on. We're 4 people in a house and our rent is 2,000 lira.
Right. So these moves, right, to lower interest rates, to increase borrowing, that leaves behind a whole demographic of people who are on fixed income who are not going out to get a loan, right? And so who's hurt the most by this is absolutely the aging population and those on fixed income.
Yeah. So even just looking at some of the things that have shot up in price there in Turkey specifically, like sunflower oil jumped 137%. So think about that, right? So your money goes down in value, and all of these goods are just skyrocketing.
Yes.
Toilet paper up 90%, sugar up 90%, natural gas up 102%, and of course inflation helps big businesses, right? It helps those at the top, and it crushes the little person. I don't know,
so
really
we are awaiting more
today.
Yes.
Today is the Fed meeting, and so we're going to hear from Jerome Powell on this exact issue today. Like, where does Jerome Powell feel that inflation is heading in the United States? Are they going to throw out the term transitory finally and be honest with us about it, that it's going to last? It could last a year or even more. When are you going to start to increase interest rates? When are you going to start to raise rates so that we're not keeping these interest rates artificially low? All of this, we're going to wait today as the Fed holds its meeting for 2 days, today, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll have an update for you on that on the show tomorrow.